Fall is upon us. It's another great Sunday night, October the 18th. So glad you were here. Time for the next edition that's going to break through the clutter. It's time again for the Ken and Glenn Show with a guy named Scott. We are so glad you're here. Let me introduce to you my friend Ken. And tonight, for a little while anyway, we're without Glenn, but I'm still with Scott. So that part hasn't changed.
That has not changed. What's going? Look, we have some rock stars joining us already.
Absolutely, we are Glenless for
we are Glenless for a minute or 10 or whatever. I don't know. He'll be here, I think.
Hi, Lynn.
Hey, Lynn. So Glenn, today is his wife's birthday, Carolyn, and he's told everybody. So she turned the big 6-0 today, and he said, I want to spend it with her, and but he is definitely going to. I think he's going to pop in.
Good.
Just leave it at that.
Yeah. That's great. Hey, thanks, Donovan. Donovan was with me all weekend at our summit. Wow. And we did the Distinction Summit, Stand Out, Earn More, the Distinction Summit. Yes, Randall was there too. Yes, we did a marathon. I've been sitting in this chair since Friday morning at 8 a.m. So Tammy and I are going.
But the background is different.
Tammy and I are going to dinner, and then we're celebrating. We're having a dinner, and then I'm going into a coma.
Oh man, you've been going at it. What time were you starting that every day?
Pacific time, we start at 8 a.m.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I signed into Zoom at 7:30 every morning, did the 15-minute roll at Quarter Till, and we started absolutely on time every morning at 8 a.m. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We went 6 hours a day, Friday and Saturday, and then on Sunday today we did 3.5. Then had another meeting after that for another little bit. So yeah, wow. I did 4.5 today. So did
you share this out, Scott?
Oh gosh, you know what? We got talk about the basics. It's basic. You and I got talking, and
what is this, amateur hour?
Yeah, I was so mesmerized by what you were saying. It totally took my breath away.
Oh, so Ernest wants us to say hello to Edward and Diane from Virginia. So hello, Edward and Diane from Virginia.
Hi, Edward and Diane.
Charles Coachman is in the house. That must be Edward that's saying hi to Ernest. So hello, Edward. Thanks for being here. Kellen Ann, we have Bill Collier's in the house. Need some pappy and steak from Hanks.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, Bill, you got it. Bam. Mic drop. Tammy, are you listening?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, man.
Happy. Is that the stuff that's like $10,000 a shot or something? Or $1,000?
It's not that bad, but it's bad. I'm messing up here trying to forward this thing. I can't walk and chew gum here. Let's see video and anyway.
Well, thank you, Ernest. Thanks for sharing this out. Bruce Mills asks, do the chats cross over from Facebook? Wherever you are, if you are chatting, it should show up. Leanne Isaacson, how are you? Good to see you. Renee Rose, Scott, mesmerized. That's a Glenn line. Right. Well, if you hang out in the barbershop long enough.
Yep. Your hair's going to get cut.
It's going to get cut. Let's see. I'm getting a message. We're having trouble. They're having trouble streaming this to the Ken and Glenn Show with a guy named Scott Facebook page. What the heck?
That's weird.
That's very weird. and there's no option for me to hit saying stream anyway. Oh well. So Scott, we were talking before the show about all of the information out there. And there's I talked to our buddy Jeffrey Gittimer today. I had a meeting with him and his lovely wife, and we were talking about that because I get authors that are sending me their books and stuff to be on my show and to talk, all of that. I get my wife literally the other day, she's like, my God, you get something in the mail every single day. I'm like, Ann,
Tammy, cancel that box.
I'm like, I know, but like, what,
no, I'm serious. There's a box that's in the truck.
Oh, it's
yes.
So, but and so as it turns out, I have a stack of books, and there's books that I buy because it's oh, that looks like a great book. I'm going to read that. And then I'm like, and this is a great course. I'm going to get this course. And then and there's so much information that I think sometimes, for me at least, I don't know about you or anyone else, but for me, sometimes it feels just overwhelming.
It is. And thank you, Jonah. Appreciate you like the background. My friend Susan Rowan, who wrote the multi-million selling book, How to Work a Room, has a great line I'm going to steal. And she says, I think everyone has a book inside them. And for most of you, that's where it should stay.
Oh, jeez.
But one of the things that happens is that there are books written to be consumed by the public, that you're going to find on shelves in bookstores, and they go, and that's part of what's changed is that it used to be, I don't mean to sound like my dad walking to school, but there was a time that most books were sold at retail outlets, which had limited shelf space. So you had to go through a major publisher. And a major publisher would kind of screen what books were worthy of finding an audience. So then the major publisher would then pitch your book to the Barnes and Nobles, and remember Borders and those bookstores of the world. Now, the biggest bookstore in the world is Amazon. And anybody can get their book on Amazon.
Yeah.
And there are so many subcategories of Amazon. There is a guy who Xeroxed his foot and made it into a book on Amazon. And in its category, it became a #1 bestseller because he and his mom bought it. It was a Xerox of his foot.
Wow.
So what's happened is now everybody has access, and it's great in a way because it means that the Simon and Schusters and the McGraw-Hills and the so forth no longer have a lock on what makes it into the marketplace. It's challenging because it means that anybody can put anything out there.
Yeah.
And also then they'll take that book and they'll send it to you. And how do you determine, how do you find the diamond in the rough? How do you find that needle in the haystack that's the book that people really, really need to read? It's really difficult. And it makes it difficult for those of us that publish through, my last book was through an arm of publishing, imprint is what it's called, with Simon and Schuster. I did a book with McGraw-Hill, did one with HarperCollins. So, I mean, but again, there's tons of clutter there anymore because how do you break through?
It's funny though, because I'm doing this book with Jeffrey Gittimer where I wrote one of the chapters, and OMG.
There he is. I love the cap.
Yeah, well, let me get my sound set properly here. Hold on one second.
Oh, I put him in too fast. Let me take him out. But I was talking to Gittimer about this thing that where it's listed on Amazon, and he goes, "Oh well, we'll reach out to the publisher tomorrow." And I'm thinking, when I want to change something on my book on Amazon, I just log into the back end and change it. But you have to go if you're with a public. So there is an upside to publishing your own book, and there is an upside for I think there's a lot of people that should publish a book. Like for me, 25 years, people are like, you need to write a book, dude. You need to write a book. And I was like, who's going to buy my book? Who do I even talk? How do I just start calling? I had heard the stories about people calling 100 publishers before they finally got a yes. And I'm like, 100 publishers. Who do you call?
That was Mark and Jack. That was Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield. Both. I mean, the two of them are shopping the book, and 160 turn downs.
What are you not doing in the upper left-hand corner, dude?
I just had to, man.
No, man, it's a show of respect. That's your coveted place.
It's a show of respect. I'm honoring my elders.
I need to go over there.
I'm always at choice as to what I choose to be offended by, and I'm going to let that one roll like water off a duck's back, baby.
Hey, can I just say real quickly, the book that got turned down by what we said, Mark and Jack, by 100 plus publishers was a little thing called Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yeah, which is now sold over 600 million copies.
So second only to the Bible and some genius passed.
No, 160 geniuses passed.
Yeah. By the way, you're also looking at a genius that turned down the opportunity to have my story in the original edition.
Shut up. Are you serious? And you said no?
Serious. Mark,
did you say no?
Yeah, Mark rolled. I have one of the original hardcover. It's the Chicken Soup for the Soul was originally issued in the hardcover, and I've got the copy because Mark sent it to me and went, "Just think, you could have."
Drop a one if you'd like Scott to make your decisions for you.
Yeah. They wanted the Taxi Terry story, the story I tell about the cab driver. And I said, why would I give you guys my best story to go in your book? I'm saving it for my book. Well, it comes out. So Mark sends me and our pal Larry Wingate that's been a guest on the show. Yeah. That's what really made his career. There's 2 stories from Larry in the original Chicken Soup for the Soul. And that's been every time I see that book, I just kind of
just so you know that you've got company in the canoe, so to speak, Scott. I've had the exact same thing happen, but it's the inverted version of that, which is you have something you didn't do that would have been nice to have done. I'm having things I did do that would have been nice not to have done.
Not to have done. Right. I'm not saying that that's not the case. It's just I'm not talking about those. Right?
Yeah.
So, man, we were talking about information overload, like how much information, there, all the different books. And I talked to you about this. Like I get a lot of authors that'll send me their book and want to be on my Breakthrough Walls show, or now people are hearing that I can live stream on Amazon. They want to talk about that. And so, and dude, there is just, I get on average, probably 1 book a day. And I can't read that many. I just I don't, and do everything else I do, I don't know, run a couple of businesses and then do social media posts. And once in a while, I actually enjoy having a life. And it just gets overwhelming sometimes with all of the information that's available. And Bill said, I feel like I'm at the bar and overhearing the table next to
That's the very beauty. That's the beauty of the show. I mean, if
It
that's
is.
what you're feeling, that's absolutely what we are after. We want the audience to have that voyeuristic sensation that they're just overhearing a great conversation. And the difference is we actually invite you guys to take a seat at the table.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
that's good. That's high praise. Thank you
It
for
is.
that.
Hey, by the way, how's Carolyn's birthday been today?
You know, it's been a terrific birthday. Probably the most predominant thought that just brought tears to both our eyes is the fact that it occurred to us that now we're both in the same decade again, and that there isn't, this is hard to believe, but it is the truth. There isn't a decade we've missed. And I don't mean just since we got together.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a decade we've missed, period, because we met when I was 6 and she was 5, and
Wow.
we lived 2 doors down from each other. So we played. In fact, we not only played together, we played a fabulous game. Many of you have played it. It's called Doctor.
Yeah, I still
And
play that.
a lot of people do. And there are a tremendous number of enthusiasts of this game, as evidenced by the population of the world. So we were playing a more harmless version of it when it really was nothing more than just childish curiosity. It certainly wasn't sexual in theme. It was just a curiosity as to why our designs were different from one another.
Yeah.
And we moved away to the north side of town, and I didn't see her for 9 years. And on November the 8th of 1976, I still remember the date, I got a whisper, and that whisper was simply call Carolyn. And I knew which Carolyn it meant, and I wasn't shopping for a girlfriend. It was, I knew a few Carolyns at that time, but one of them I hadn't seen since I was 8 years old. And now I'm 17. So it's been 9 years.
Yeah.
And I acted as I do on my whispers. I went to the phone book. A lot of us haven't even used a phone book in years, but that's something we used to rely upon, and found her dad's name and phoned her up. And so within 2 minutes, no exaggeration, 2 minutes of the impulse to call Carolyn, I was on the other end of the phone with her. And she answered, and I said, yes, is Carolyn there? And she said, this is Carolyn. Who is this? And I said, well, before I tell you, I'll just mention that it's been a number of years since we last saw one another. And she laid out a couple of guesses. And I said, let me give you a hint. I have red hair. And she said, oh my God, Glenn, is this you? And I said, it is. And she goes, no way. I said, yeah. She said, who told you? I don't know who told me what. She says, no, don't kid me about this. Who told you that I've been looking for you? And that's when I got chicken skin and realized that a few weeks before, she had been trying to find me based on an article that had appeared in the newspaper, in the Dallas Morning News. And so within 2 weeks of each other, I mean, I could embellish it and say, it was within 24 hours, but that's not what it was. It was within a couple of weeks of one another. Each one was in pursuit of the other, unbeknownst to the other. And
Wow.
when I share that story with people, I say that the reason for that, in my view, is that we had an appointment to keep called spending our lives with each other. And that on some level, our souls understood that. And indeed we did. So we were together as children. We were together again for 4 years of or 3 years of our teen years, 17 to 20. And then we were married when I was 19 and she was 18. So we've done our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, our 50s, and now we're in our 60s, and we are in utter disbelief.
Wow.
As we look, not in a bad way, in a good way, in a beautiful way that says, oh my gosh, we can officially say we've been at this for a really long time. And I don't care who you are. I mean it. I don't care who you are. If you've been together a long time, you've made a commitment to pushing through some things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because things happen, just as turbulence occurs during flight, and things happen with the best of intentions, So the question is not will things occur, challenges, circumstances, but when they do, what will you do? I mean, that's really the question. When they do, what will you do?
Yeah.
And so it was a super, super special while we're in our 60s now. Happy birthday. And we're going to go out and have a nice night, but we did lunch with Mom today.
I called and sang happy birthday to her on her voicemail.
As did Donny Osmond.
Nuh-uh.
Oh, no way. That's
I
so
bet
great.
his didn't sound anywhere near as good as mine. I'm just saying.
Well, how about if I play it for you?
Well, I didn't leave it
my
on
God.
your voicemail. I left it on hers.
Okay.
Donny Osmond sang happy birthday to Carolyn on your voicemail.
Just relax. Would
Are you serious right now?
Don't get your panties out of joint.
What the
Come
hell? Why is Donnie always trying to one up me?
on. I don't think it's personal.
Wow.
Hold on.
That is so cool.
Where we've secretly replaced your today. We're here at your party where we've secretly replaced your birthday cake with Donny Osmond. Happy birthday, Carolyn. This one's for you. Carolyn, it's your birthday. Time to celebrate, sing a clown. Ooh, you, come on, Carolyn. It's your birthday. Time to sing and shout. Come on, it's what you gotta do. Bring it back. Another candle, another year, it's true. But 60 years sure looks good on you. Oh, Carolyn, it's your birthday. So dance and sing and shout your name. Oh, Carolyn, it's your birthday. The music's hot, it's time to rock. This birthday party won't stop. Now come on, Carolyn.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Okay.
cool.
So no, Donnie didn't call personally. Actually, the lovely Catherine Hill sent that to Carolyn, and I just thought it was classic, man.
That
Dude,
is so
that is
cool.
right here. Not to take anything away from Donnie, but Bruce Mills just gave us all the greatest compliment ever.
That's really cool. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Wow. Bruce, thank you, man. That's awesome. Wow. So okay. So mine was actually me.
Enough marketing
There
for
was
you,
no-
Scott.
I'm loving it. I said great cap, Glenn.
There-
That was for you, baby.
I appreciate it, man. And thank you for this weekend. I appreciate
You
it.
betcha.
Both of you.
that was fun. That was
What were you
fun.
saying, Ken? Sorry.
No, mine was me. Like there was no production crew. It was just me singing happy birthday to Carolyn on her phone.
I would have paid to see the dancing on that.
Ken in a thong.
No,
No, I wouldn't have paid for that. I'm sorry. Okay,
In
I'll
fact,
pay not to
here
see
I
that.
would
Is
even
that all
have
right?
given you the song to sing. It would have been Thong Blue.
oh my God, that's hilarious.
You know, I have a weird question, Glenn. You mentioned the ages when you got married, and yet, you know, and Tammy, my wife, was her first marriage was married at the same age, but yet when her kids got that age, my stepsons, it was like, oh my gosh, don't get married this early, don't, you know, and it's having no children, biological children of my own. It's always been
Right.
fascinating to me that I have many friends that got married at the age that you and Carolyn did, and
Yeah.
not all of them, but many of them still have great relationships, but yet they didn't want their own kids to get married that young. And I'm just kind of curious where you guys came down with your kids and how you feel about others. I mean, obviously you folks are incredibly
Bless
special,
you.
know, in an incredibly special relationship. But I'm just curious, you know, how you feel when you see people 18, 19 years old getting married.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I'm happy to answer it. By the way,
That is a great question.
the absence of the audio portion of that last sneeze, courtesy of my mentor, Ken Walls, who, you know, just through his subtle instruction and living by example, I noticed that certain sounds, when it's time for us to make a sound that's not really in the best interest of a radio or television show, is to race for the mute button, and then you can sneeze all you want. The audience is none the wiser, except they see the motion of, but they don't get this really loud sing. So thank you for that, Ken.
Look, now people are putting our names in the wrong order. Is it because
Well,
we're
go
out of
back
order?
to the upper left where you belong.
I feel like,
Top billing belongs in the upper left.
does it?
It does.
I don't. Yeah, I'm good.
It really does, Ken, and it's throwing my OCD. Thank you.
Well,
So-
there we go. Now we're right.
Oh my God, it feels like normal. Are you staying for the whole show?
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm leaving that up to Carolyn because I really wanted her to design the evening. The reason I couldn't guarantee that I would be here at all is I didn't know at what point we would be on our Zoom call with our kids, and
Oh.
it worked out to where we were able to wrap up without it feeling rushed. We started at 6:00 Central, but that's early for them. That's 4 p.m. in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But let me answer Scott's question. So neither one of our children are married, but one of them has been in a relationship that is in its 11th year and now is married, but they were not for the longest time. Our eldest, Greg, got married a year and a half ago to his wife, Therese, but they had lived together. They had been together for 10 solid years before they got married. So they weren't exactly in the audition phase anymore. And they were very much a team, and they just decided, you know what, let's do this and let's make it legal. I mean, are you going anywhere? No. Are you? No. You happy? Yeah. You? Yeah. Makes sense to me. And I think it was really that easy to negotiate. It was just a matter of this works.
Mhm.
This is an arrangement that works for us, and there is some permanence to it. So let's go ahead and concretize it with a ceremony. And our daughter has been in a relationship now for about a year, but they had been friends for several years. And I don't think there is a stronger foundation. I think in terms of longevity of a relationship, I think you're going to last longer if you're building it on a foundation of friendship than on a foundation of butterflies in your tummy.
Yeah.
You know, butterflies feel good, but I would question how substantive they are. And is that a reliable surface upon which to build your house?
Mhm.
And so I personally absolutely love the fact that both of our kids were friends with their partners first before they became romantically involved. Neither one of us would advocate for early marriage, but we also wouldn't try to talk someone out of it. We would say, here is what we've discovered. We would do that and say that it may include, because I don't think any of us have a right to say what something will include as far as the specifics. I think you can say things like challenges can show up in relationships like turbulence does to a flight. But the thing is, turbulence doesn't mean that something's wrong, right? It's not an indicator unless you're undereducated. And if you're undereducated, that translates into, oh my God, there's something wrong with the plane. We're all going to die. And it doesn't mean that at all.
Doesn't mean at
It
all.
means that
There's
you're
times
getting,
when it felt like it, though.
I understand, but what I'm saying is if you understand scientifically what's going on is that there are thin and thick air pockets, and that you are hitting those air pockets at between 500 and 600 miles per hour. The variance in density is what creates the shaking of the plane, and there is nothing wrong. And I think when a relationship shakes, I think that if you greet it with the same relaxed manner that you can greet turbulence with and say, let's talk about our shaky plane. Let's talk about the shake. Let's talk about what you're experiencing. Let's talk about the fact that we met when we were caterpillars and now we're butterflies. So obviously there's some different rules in play, because you said, for example, and I'll make this brief, but a caterpillar can promise and keep its promise that it will never fly. It can make that promise. And then one day it changes into a butterfly. And now what was promised for the caterpillar becomes a very different scenario for the butterfly, because the butterfly is committing no crime by flying. The butterfly is supposed to fly. That's its nature. So I think that long-term relationships are often negotiated and renegotiated every whatever. There's no built-in set of time. But in other words, you look at each other in the eye and you say, is this still the place you want to be? And no offense taken if something's changed, but truthfully, tell me, unedited, are you still happy? Are you happy? Do you want to be here? Because I only want you here if this is where you want to be. And it's not a requirement, it's a choice. And I'm not going to hold you to, well, you said you would, because I understand that life changes. And I'm very blessed because I'm with such an intelligent human being that processes information in that exact way. And so we've gone the distance between caterpillar and butterfly, but it has been through several renegotiations of, yes, I still want to be with this version of you.
That's beautiful.
I mean, I think so. I truly do. I think it's very beautiful, but if my number one tip, I would just say, be in communication.
Yeah.
And give up a couple of things. One is raising your voice. Just simple solution. Just stop it. Just stop it. Because if you're raising your voice, you're trying to dominate someone. You're trying to insist that you be heard. And the reality is you don't want your voice raised at you. You don't want somebody's voice raised at you. So then don't do it to them. And if both parties are hip to that, it's like, wow, so we really could be that peaceful? And the answer is yes. You can. You have to make an adult decision that we choose peace over all things, including peaceful handlings of whatever challenges show up. But we're not going to do the yelling gig because it's counterproductive. You know, it's been a great day and we're looking forward to more of it, but she's giving me a little break to hang with my buddies.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, that was one of the rules that Tammy and I established too. And it's kind of my pet peeve. You'll see couples at a restaurant and one party or the other, but particularly the guy, I mean, because that's what I've noticed so much of being one. They will be courteous to the server, and then as soon as the server walks away, rude to their partner.
Mm.
And I always vowed I will never in my life, speak to a stranger with more respect and dignity than I am to the person who is committing their life to me.
Hello.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that we don't have. So really, I'm really treating the servers really badly. No.
You decided to just change who we're yelling at.
Right.
No, but I mean, it gets me when you see people who will pay abundant respect to, what's the old line about kiss up and kick down? They will kiss the hind end of people that they think can help them, and then treat the people that they are closest to with less respect. And I just think that's a sin. That is something that is just, that's just wrong.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that is big time wrong. But I think if you can just step outside of yourself and maybe step 8 to 10 feet away from yourself and observe you right now, like in this moment, whatever's moving through you, leave your body and go watch it move through that guy over there called you, and see if you like being on the receiving end of it. Just see what that feels like.
Yeah.
And unless you are a practitioner of occupying the skin of others, your chances of a long-term relationship are slender. I think that's a skill set that is a requirement for longevity. You've got to occupy your partner's skin. You have to occupy it and just say, what is it like to be on the receiving end of me?
Yeah.
And when you see what that feels like, then you can say, mostly good. Okay, well, let's talk about the part that isn't so good.
Yeah.
And then once you've been on the receiving end of that and seen it, now you can jump back into your skin and make adjustments. And with regard to change, and I'll shut up about it after this, I think that people can change, but they usually don't.
Nope.
That's my opinion about change. I think that change is available, but it is available to those that are willing to do the work. And so unfortunately, I think that most change is left out in the world of conceptual thinking. And so they think, well, I could do that, or I could do that, or we could do that. But are you going to do it? Are you doing it?
I think that comes down to what their I'll go as to Tony Robbins fundamentals and being your belief systems. Something has to really touch your belief system to force change. And when I say that, I everybody's like, the ego is, edging God out. It's a bad thing. And I've talked about this before, when I got sober, somebody called me out that night and called me a worthless drunk on August the 10th of 2002, said, you know what, you're nothing but a worthless drunk. Why don't you go get some help? And got up and walked away from me. And I'll never forget that moment when it felt like everybody in this restaurant/bar higher end was looking at me. I felt like, and I can remember thinking, dear God, I hope everybody didn't hear that. Forget the fact that I was, jaundiced and bloated and skin turning yellow, and forget all that. That isn't what concerned me. What concerned me is that everybody thought I was a drunk. And so my ego kicked in and I changed. And or something did. I always give credit to God and stay grateful for being sober. But I think if your belief system is challenged, whatever that is, that's where, and that feeds into what Scott and I decided that we were going to talk about.
I came in a few minutes late, so I never heard what the original topic was, and I did not hear the beginning of the show. So what is the topic? The topic
is information overload. Kind of. Okay. Just all of the people that are all the different things that are available on in this digital age. You guys have a tremendous amount of wisdom, and hanging out with you virtually is not the same as hanging out in person. It's not. Because I've hung out now with both of you, thanks to Glenn, getting on a plane and flying to Nashville to meet me that one night. So I've been able to, and it's not the same virtually as hanging out in person. And so we were talking about that a little bit before the show, the virtual versus in person. And we were talking about all of the different, there's a lot of wisdom out this, when did they say the information age started? The 2000s, the 90s?
A little before that, but there isn't there isn't universal agreement on a specific date.
Probably mid to late 90s.
Yeah, and I was going to defer to Scott anyway. So
the industrial age, they say basically got started with Henry Ford and mass production.
Early 1900s, right?
When the assembly line started. But I don't know that they say that there is a specific date for the information age, because some will say it was the internet, others say it's the personal computer, others say it's mobile telephones that allowed us to move and communicate.
Yeah. So Rini is saying 1998.
It's an amalgamation of all those times.
Yeah. Well, so you've got all this information that is just moving at trillions of miles per second. I mean, there's so much freaking information, and it's like, how do you decide what information you're going to consume, the frequency that you're going to consume that information? How do you kind of what's the word? How do you work your way through it and figure out who you're going to listen to, what you're going
to
consume, disseminate? How do you, that
would be the word.
Yeah.
And there's a dark side of it too, which is you exclude so much that you only listen to what you already believe.
Right.
And so I mean it's you're exactly right, Ken. I mean it's overload on one side, but it's now we can describe. You know, it used to be this that we would watch Walter Cronkite every night, and you would hear the news, right? And there was 30 minutes of news, and that was it, unless you read the newspaper. And now, I mean, you're carrying it in your pocket 24/7, and it's both sides of the coin. I mean, you can get so much, you're drowning in it,
right?
But you can also be your own programmer to the point that all you hear is what you believe in, and everybody else is bad. You know, I mean, that's to me,
which is itself a little bit scary.
Which is scary, right? Is that it's not, these are people with whom I disagree. It's become, they are evil. And,
right.
And I worry about our country. I worry about our system when we look at the other side, not as being those with whom we disagree, but they're evil because they think that. That's a dangerous.
Well, I don't think the word bombardment is even extreme at this point. I think that we are all being bombarded with
nonstop,
just endless imprinting, societal imprinting, certainly with social media. And this can sort of dovetail into a conversation about the movie Social Dilemma, right? This latest one that's on Netflix, which is really about that and what the result has been from that bombardment. What has it done to us as a people? And one of the things I'd like to throw this observation out is it seems that many, I will not try to assess what that percentage is, but I think it's a lot. I think it's a huge number of people who seem to have mastered the art of being everywhere without a clue how to be somewhere. Mm. So they know how to reach the masses. They know how to be present on a stage and be a hero to 500 people, but catch them one-on-one.
Yeah.
And when you're with them one-on-one, are they with you or are they on their device texting somebody else? And I'm not in an anti-texting thing. Texting certainly plays its role in my life, but I actually don't allow this. I don't allow texting to ever keep me from being present with another human being, because I think it's one of the biggest insults in the world. If you're sitting there having lunch with someone, only the reality is you're more present with the person on the phone. Now, here's what's really tragic. If the person who's doing this were to get up and go be with the person they're texting, don't be surprised that more than 50% of the time, the pattern picks up all over again. Yeah. What does this teach us? Meaning that when they get with that person who they absolutely had to be with an hour ago via text, now they're with them in person and they're texting somebody else, which means they don't know how to be where they are. They have specialized in being where they're not. I want to say that again. They have specialized in being where they're not. And that can be very difficult to hang out with if you are someone who enjoys residing in the present. I'm such a person. So if that's going on in my midst, fortunately, it doesn't happen very often, but I get done with lunch or dinner very quickly. Very quickly. And it would not be unlike me to just say, do you need to spend some time on your phone right now? And no offense taken, but I'm not going to sit here and do this. So if that's where you need to be, then that's where you need to be. But you don't need to have your body here and every other part of you somewhere else. You know, and I think we're sort of earmarking a deterioration in our society with this kind of behavior. So I want to just pitch to our audience to practice this week being where you are.
Yeah.
Like entirely. And there's a chance that if you can't be, then you're probably not where you need to be. Or maybe you've just developed a really bad habit, and frankly, no insult intended, but maybe you actually don't even know how to be where you are. And part of learning that is to set the device down. put it on silent, flip it over, have it in your pocket, leave it in your car, do something else. Because you're looking at 3 guys here, all of whom grew up at a time when there were no cell phones. And you know what? We were fine. We were fine. We could take breaks away from those things. We could go out and ride our bicycle.
Yeah.
We could do whatever. And our curfew was sundown, and we did it minus helmets. And we're still here. So,
Didn't wear a seatbelt.
I'm not advocating going out riding without a helmet. I'm not saying don't wear a
Of
seatbelt.
course.
I'm saying this is
Yeah.
all I'm saying. Think about who you're stimulated by. Who represents stimulating company, and not because they agree with you necessarily. We've learned in our relationship with this particular threesome, we don't see eye to eye on some key matters. However, love is present, and I'm massively stimulated. And that's why I'm here. And I came here tonight, guys, because Scott, I think you may have forgotten this, but we both have the same track record. None of us have missed a show. No one's missed a show yet. Even when Ken was down in Florida, he did pop in off his balcony.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
balcony.
when I was in LA, I did the show
You
from
did the
there. When I
same.
was in
Right.
Louisiana, I did it from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And next week, I plan to do the show from Atlanta.
Hey,
This is way off the subject. But Glenn, when you go down there, do you stay in a house? Do you rent a house, or do
Are
they
you
have?
talking about Atlanta?
Yeah, when you go to
No,
Atlanta.
I'm in a beautiful, beautiful hotel
Oh, fabulous.
in Midtown. Now, when I was a series regular in season 2, I did have a place.
Uh-huh.
And actually, I have my stepbrother, Scott, and his wife, Lisa, with their 2 girls live in Atlanta. And that worked out just beautifully because they have a huge house. And I wound up with my own room, and it was beautiful.
Wow.
But now it said I'm a freelance actor on the show. Then they fly me to and from and put me up at a gorgeous hotel, and I'm really happy with that arrangement.
Yeah.
But this is going to be different because this is the first time we've been back during COVID. And I don't want to change the subject about that, but it is going to be a very different week. I COVID tested 2 days ago, and I will fly tomorrow and then get in tomorrow night and go back for another post-flight COVID test on Tuesday to clear me for wardrobe, because you can't even go out to the studio to have the wardrobe fit you until
Wow.
you've been, you've got a negative test. And so they're having to run a tight ship, which
did
is,
you,
as
did
it
you
should.
already get your test results?
No, I will get those actually tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy, man.
So let's talk some more
Crazy.
about the social media situation or the information overload.
Yeah, and Glenn, but just a real quick, when you mentioned the social dilemma, there were many things about that I just found jaw dropping. But the one thing that really stuck with me is that of several of the major people that were talking, the head of former CEO of Pinterest and the guy that developed the like button for Facebook and all that, none of them allowed their kids to have unfettered access. To social-
Yes, wasn't that interesting?
Yeah, wasn't that powerful?
Wow.
They wouldn't let,
So it meant that they were crystal clear.
Yeah.
They were crystal clear on the effect it's having.
absolutely.
And even though they're creating it,
Yeah.
they didn't want their children being on the receiving end of it.
The guy that created the like button, I thought was what he said was really powerful. He said, I basically, I'm paraphrasing, but
He didn't know what it was going to turn into.
yeah, he said, I built this to spread joy throughout the world. That you could post something and have all these people supporting you and liking you.
Yeah.
And the fact that teens would commit suicide because they weren't getting likes, he said that never crossed our mind. It never occurred to us. And you could feel his anguish
Yes.
about that. And it just, you kind of get upset sometimes at the people that create this. Don't they well, no, they didn't realize. If they would have realized it, I kind of got the feeling that they wouldn't have done it,
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's,
Well, but
unintended
there's
consequences.
you've got it comes down to what I've preached about many times, and that is taking responsibility for your life. And if you have children, taking responsibility for your children's lives. Like we have a 10-year-old daughter. She's had an iPhone, and you guys are going to go, what? She's had an iPhone since she was like 5. since she was 5. She's rarely uses it, if ever. But I mean, now she's getting to the age where she's, she's on TikTok, but it's we police it. We watch very, very carefully what she's doing. She's on, YouTube things, watching YouTube. She has some fun YouTube channels that she really loves, but we watch what she's doing and we limit the time that she's allowed to be on it. People are not using these devices like that with their children. They're using them as babysitters. They're using them as here, just go away, leave me alone. Go
in
get on your
lieu
phone.
of communication.
Yes. And again, it comes down to, if you don't take responsibility for your life, your life's going to suck.
I mean, we all rely on social media to an extent. Certainly it's great for business. Scott, you wouldn't have been able to hold your summit
Exactly right.
this weekend were it not courtesy of social media. And so that's tremendous. And people did not have to risk their lives getting on a plane or anything. And hotel rooms didn't need to be rented, and ballroom spaces didn't need to be rented. And it does feel different to sit in front of a computer and teach and it is not as satisfying. There's no doubt about it, but it beats the alternative, which is no contact at all. And we've been able to do a lot of connecting with the world. We have one student that's in my workshop in particular. She takes a Wednesday day class. Well, I don't teach a Wednesday day class, and yet she studies with me. How do you explain that? Well, the answer is I teach a Tuesday night class, but she sees that class live Wednesday in the daytime from Australia.
Right.
So, I mean, imagine that I teach in Australia every Wednesday. That's a literal truth.
And look what Justin says right there.
What's that?
iPhones and social media aren't all bad. I'm watching you guys on both. And so are a lot of other people.
We're kind of biting the hand that feeds us in a way if we're not. But in the summit this week, we had, that you guys were a part of. I mean, we had 2 people from Australia. We had somebody from Brazil. We had somebody from the United Kingdom. And I mean, that's not possible. There's no way they would have that they'd flown all the way from Australia. So there is such good. Glenn, I got to ask you this. How do you find when you're teaching classes virtually?
Yes.
As opposed to in person? I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
I couldn't feed off of the energy of the live.
It is a bigger ask energetically. There's no question. There's a bigger expenditure of energy. However, I am equally invested in both formats. And I will tell you this, and this may seem surprising, but because we are an on-camera workshop, when everything goes away, which let me just throw this out there, I don't think we're looking at any time soon. That's my opinion. But whenever it does go away and we're on the backside, I will not, and this may surprise you, I've shared it with Ken, I will not be going back to an office building. I love our format. And I love it because it is teaching people the art of what is seen within the frame.
Yeah.
So it is so tailored to the nuances and the specifics of someone's on-camera presence that it is meeting needs that never got addressed, certainly not to this extent when we were live. And it took a while. I got on board very soon, but it took a little longer for my students to get into the rhythm of it, to get used to doing work without somebody there, and yet they're interacting with them. And then Zoom pieces it together, and by the end of the class, they've got a great piece of work to look at and to review it every week, to go back and look at the game film and see if what they're doing works. So it's quite spectacular. So yeah, we're not going to be going back to an office building. And I fully thought we would, but we're not.
Hey, could you guys stand up to Joe for me? I'm just kidding. I just have to call him out because he's such a. Yeah, never mind. I won't.
Did you see what Donovan said?
That was so
Very
nice,
nice.
Donovan. Thank you for sharing that because
Thank you,
those guys
Donovan.
were fantastic. By the way, Glenn, you didn't know. Okay, maybe you do, but Ken was speaking, and my internet went down.
Ooh.
And so
That's
here's
just
everybody
wrong.
watching, and I can't tell you how many people have responded saying, "Holy cow! Talk about it. He proved what a great live streamer he is because all of a sudden the host, the guy running the thing, disappears."
I was like,
Yes.
well, I hope I'm not going off topic, but let's just keep rolling.
And everybody loved it. But
Don't we have to call audibles in life?
we do. I mean,
Yeah.
and it struck me too, Glenn. You'll appreciate it. It's like a live. It was. It's like a live of it in person. You have to be prepared for if something happens, if something But it happens. It happens on this too. Your internet can go to heck on you. It's crazy.
Scott, what's funny about that? Because it can happen. Well, it happens all the time with the internet. I mean, the shit just breaks, right? But last November, I flew out to Vegas to speak to a group of 500 people, and it's the first time I'd spoken on a stage in 18, 19 plus years, probably. So
Wow.
I was a little bit nervous, and I just kept thinking, I kept thinking, man, dude, you've done a couple thousand live streams. You're going to be okay. And it is a lot different. I'm going to say that it's a lot easier speaking on a stage than it is on a lot. It just is. It's a lot because you don't have first, you're not seeing the number change of the people in and out of your stream. You might have the occasional guy that gets up to go to the bathroom, but like it's just completely different. And wouldn't you know, my first time on a stage, I did all this prep work, beautiful PowerPoint presentation. I mean, and the damn clicker wouldn't work. I was like, this is a bunch of crap. So I had to just go. I just had to roll with it, and somebody else started doing the slides manually, and I was just like, whatever. I wasn't even, I just started rolling. So it.
And Glenn is wearing his
Distinction
Summit cap, which I truly appreciate.
Yeah, thanks for mine. I where did I put mine?
Mine's downstairs. I didn't even bring it up. I don't have it up here, so
I don't have one either. So yeah, that
you got yours though, didn't you? I mean, you got your. You didn't get your cap yet?
No.
What?
I didn't. No.
Larry Wingate didn't either. They were all shipped out the same day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Larry, and Larry's the closest one, and he didn't get his yet either.
Sometimes, let me just mention, sometimes movie stars are shown preferential treatment by the U.S. mail.
We sent it out to the A team first.
Wow.
So I think before we wind up offending anyone here that thinks that we're ragging on social media, to be clear, social media is a marvelous tool. We depend on it. We love it. It's innovative. And if you think about it, I got two buddies here that wouldn't even be in my life were it not for social media.
That's right.
So I've met Ken once. I've still yet to physically meet Scott. We've not occupied the same space together ever. And yet we occupy the same space virtually every week since Easter Sunday, which to me is remarkable. And it's a gift. So I think, yes, it's a great tool. And what is your opinion of social media? The answer is depends. It depends on what your use is or possibly misuse. And in that sense, it's very much like an axe, because an axe can be used to chop up human beings, or it can be used to chop up wood for the winter and keep your family warm. The axe is neutral, right? So you can't say that an axe is a bad thing, but you have to look at how that axe is being put to use. And that's what determines something's worth or something's meaning in our lives. And as long as we're basically chopping wood with whatever we're doing. We'll just say, I'm just chopping wood, baby. I'm chopping wood. It's the same metaphor I use for just making my bed.
Yeah.
I'm just making my bed, right? Everything is a task. If you're just chopping wood, then the internet's great. But if you've got a profound misuse of it, where you're avoiding humanity with it, or you're avoiding connection with your children, or teaching them anything about principles, it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Spoons are bad. They can actually, did you know that spoons can make people fat?
You want to shed a little more light on that, Ken?
I probably,
If you're
shouldn't.
shoving them into your mouth with cupcakes all the time, then probably,
Exactly. It's the whole
saw-
guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
right.
Yeah. I saw a bumper sticker today. That's why Joe's saying that, but it calls out a certain celebrity. I won't mention her name. But it says, guns kill people the same way spoons made so-and-so fat. And but that is the thing, is we can sit here and we could talk about, well, social media is a problem, or social media is an addiction, or phones are an addiction, or alcohol is an addiction. And that's the real problem, is if they just quit making alcohol. Cigarettes are the problem. If they would stop making cigarettes, then people wouldn't be addicted to cigarettes. And the actual Joe had to. Anyway, so
What did Joe say? Highlight it.
no, I'm not highlighting it.
Oh, I just saw it.
Yeah. So but I mean, when we go, it comes down to taking responsibility.
Yeah, and not
man.
playing the
I mean,
blame game.
Yeah, it's not. So I don't know. Anyway,
Hey, it's 3 minutes after the hour, the time that every week we always play our favorite game. Ooh, that's just wrong.
1 week we didn't do it at 3 after the hour, but every other week.
Drop the ball.
And I think that week might have been last week.
Guys, I'm so sorry.
Why don't you
Almost
pave the
every
road
week.
for us, Scott?
Pardon me?
Why don't you pave the road for us?
yeah.
Lead the way tonight.
Yeah. Well, I kind of told mine. It's when you advertise your big Distinction Summit and you invite people and you spend thousands of dollars on ads to bring people to your meeting, and you've risked a lot, and you're sitting here and it's going great, and your buddy is doing such a great job talking about his favorite subject, and the internet just disappears on you.
Mm.
And I am sure that my great friends at Cox Cable
Oh,
are going to adjust the bill, because, and I'm sure that there's very few things that you pay for that they promise. I've got called the Gigablast service, that you get a gig of speed, which I'm plugged in. I'm hardwired in right now, and I've never gotten a gig,
nope.
even being hardwired in. So it would be like saying, hey, here's this Lamborghini for $20,000, and you get there and it's a Yugo, but hey,
Yeah.
Right.
still
So they're
with-
over promising and under delivering. So
and-
it sounds like that's a Monday phone call for you.
yeah, it's
Or have you already spoken with them?
I called, and I think I mentioned this during the summit. I think that whoever predicts call volume needs to be fired, because I've been their customer for 6 years, and every time I call, because of higher than anticipated call volume,
Every time.
your wait time will be
Yeah.
really. No, what they should say, and those of you at the summit heard me say it, what they really should say is, because we don't care to hire enough operators to serve our customers, your anticipated
Right.
wait time will be.
Or
Yeah.
because of our chronic undercalculations.
Yeah.
So the anticipatory practice of call volume is flawed.
Right. Well, it would probably start first, Scott, with you needing to explain what anticipatory meant.
It's true.
yeah, right.
There's no one at the company that knows the word anticipatory. So
Bad service like that just kills me. Just kills me. Charles got it right. You're very important as a customer.
Well,
very important.
they do give those discounts to you, though, right?
I haven't got one yet.
That's
when they said, and when COVID first started, because more people are working at home and more people are all that, they sent a note saying, we're going to cut your cable or your internet bill by 15% this coming month. By the way, we're capping speeds. Your gigablast, you're going down 50. Your download speed is going down to 350, and your upload speed is going down to like 8.
Jeez.
So in other words, we're going to reduce our service by 65%, and we're going to lower your bill by 15%. Thanks a lot.
Right. And we're going to discount it from last month's 30% increase.
Yeah. It's just, we had a printer that we were working with for this thing. I'm sorry, I'm almost a bad customer service killer. And they notified us, there'd been an error. The boxes were going to be delivered on October 21st, which is 3 days after we ended the project. And they said, but it's too late to cancel. And I called and didn't get a call back. So I posted a tweet about it. And then they said, we are so sorry. Direct message us and we'll be right in touch. So I direct messaged them, called them, and they said, your estimated wait time is 30 minutes to talk to. So,
jeez.
Well, I'm going to say it for you. Ooh,
that's just wrong.
That's just wrong. Justin, I'm with Justin. I have Spectrum too, and it's phenomenal. I mean, no
kidding.
In fact, I'll tell you, Scott, one of the things besides not being able to touch my steering wheel in the summer, one of the things that I don't miss about living in Vegas, besides not being able to touch my steering wheel in the summer, did I mention that you can't touch your steering wheel in the summer? If you accidentally forget to put your sun visor in your windshield and it happens to be sitting out it's always sunny in Vegas. So
and when you have to tell the waitress, ma'am, I typically use a pan for my fried eggs. Right.
It's so hot. But anyway, is the cable, Cox Cable out there, the internet was, oh my God, problems. And there's no other choice. There is literally no other choice.
Okay. So there was an ad about CenturyLink fiber. Yeah. So I call CenturyLink and have a conversation with them. And they said, well, let us check. Well, the fiber isn't at your house, but it's going to cost, but we could run the fiber to your house. Typically it just goes to businesses like, where you worked and that, but and I said, well, how much? And they said, well, it's going to be $1,000 a month. Well, I mean, the speaking world's turning virtual. I'm doing, and I said, yeah, it's a lot, but it's the lifeblood of my business. They said, okay, well, you need an electrician to do this. So I pay $300 for the electrician to come over and put everything in. They ship me the equipment that the installers are going to use. And then they call and say, we were sorry. The trench we have to dig is more than we thought, so we can't do it. I said, well, I've spent money with the electrician because you told me. Well, I'm sorry, sir, that's non-refundable, but could you please send our equipment back? It's still in the garage because their estimated waiting time
it's still in the garage.
Going to be longer than anticipated.
And I think this is why people eventually start growing their own vegetables. Because they just want to be more self-reliant.
Yes.
Right? We want to reduce our dependencies on others in the world. Hey, I've got my that's just wrong. And I got this one today when my mother, my mother who is 82, we all went out for a lovely lunch. And today she bought Carolyn her lunch, wanted to be a part of that experience and ask, hey, I would like to pay for this because I want to show my daughter-in-law the love. Well, great. We get back to the house and she says, before you guys leave, and I showed Carolyn yesterday, but I think you'll want to see this, Glenn. And I said, sure. She said, let me introduce you to someone. And I said, sure. And she said, just follow me because I want you to meet Charlotte. And we walked into what I thought was going to be her bedroom. And instead, she leads me into the front bathroom where she points to the corner where Charlotte is living in her web.
Oh, Lord.
Now, let me tell you, that part's not wrong. That part's kind of beautiful. She had such respect for this beautiful spider that she didn't kill it, she didn't even capture it to take it outside. It's like, look, we're moving into the cold months. Charlotte's not bothering anyone, and Charlotte's helping herself to the occasional insect that she can capture. Here is where the that's just wrong comes in. And I laughed out loud when she pointed out to me, she said, yeah, I had the guy out here from Orkin the other day. And I went, you what? And she goes, yeah, I told him, you stay away from that one, stay away from. I said, wait a minute, Mom, you brought out, someone with pesticide to then inform them to not kill.
Oh my God.
And am I wrong, or is that like top shelf comedy? Because typically, I'm just saying, Mom, typically when you call Orkin, it's to have him murder things.
Don't kill the good spider, right?
Like you're here to murder everything that's in the house, and even on the outside perimeter, you're ready to do away with them and eliminate them. You're not usually there to give them caretaking instructions about which ones are your pets.
Oh
and it's just dangling there where normally a regular Orkin guy would just, and be done with it. So my mom may be the only person in history who has given the Orkin man. That's my cousin Lee. Yes, that's her Aunt Barbara. So Aunt Barbara gave the Orkin man mercy instructions. And I think it's more that's just wrong, and it's also that's just beautiful. And it's hilarious. But I'm sure the Orkin man was doing the thing, Ken, you remember from last night, where he's going, huh?
Yeah. I'm sure he was.
I just have a feeling that was the Orkin guy, huh? Anyway, Charlotte continues to live in my mother's bathroom.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Speaking of moms, I am grateful my mom is okay. It was a really windy day, and she was opening the door to to go out with the dog, and the wind blew the door back, trying to get out of the doorway. Okay. She tripped over her pup, and
oh man. Oh my goodness.
But they did all the tests, and obviously the bruising is bad, but they did a CAT scan and no concussion, no bleeding. No, it could have been so worse. So very, very blessed that it wasn't worse. That's what I'm grateful for.
Wow.
She's very fortunate that wasn't, because that could have been game over.
Does she lives back here in Indiana, or here,
part of the year in Indiana, part of the year in Florida. So
okay,
snowbird.
Yeah.
By the way, on an that's just peculiar. When I had my COVID test, this is it's food for thought. When I had my COVID test on, I guess it was Friday. Yeah, Friday. When I had my COVID test on Friday, it was sent to me by an organization in Los Angeles, because that's where my employer is for Fox. So it is sent to me in a box to be done here by a nurse who lives in Florida. The results were sent FedEx to an organization in Maryland by a guy who took his test in Texas for a job that I'll be shooting in Georgia.
Wow.
I mean,
did you self-administer the test, Glenn, or did you? Wow.
But here's how they do that. And it's very sophisticated. They do it on screen to keep it all above board, because they are there witnessing your every move.
Yeah.
Everything, including opening the package, including having someone, I had Nurse Carolyn, basically, which was kind of cool. I just sat there and, lifted back, and She did the nasal thing, which I've done before. The previous one, it appeared to have reached my brain.
Yes.
This thing was like this long. I mean, it was huge. And the one we did Friday was not. It's all right up here into this camera, and then signed them in front of them so they could see the blank one. And there, meanwhile, they're taking still photos of it.
Yeah.
It's very thorough. And then we had to seal it, and you can't break the seal, and wrap it up the way you were told to, and then mail it and send it so that nobody else's nostrils have been used. And then that's also the reason that they second check it once you get to your destination. So they ain't playing any games with this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very thorough, but it allowed us to do it right here in the comfort of our home rather expeditiously.
Wow.
I think it's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
That's very cool.
Well, you know, we're seeing the things that we could be seeing this rise again. I mean, it's important to take care.
Right. And you know, as far as I know, that's what Tuesday's test is. Only Tuesday I won't have Nurse Carolyn. It'll be Dr. Glenn, Nurse Glenn, right there in the hotel room doing it, but with a nurse observing my every move, just like we did, just minus the luxury of Carolyn being my assistant.
Boy, they are spending that's got to be a crazy amount of money.
Given that it's not only every actor, it's every human on set.
The set, yeah. Cameramen, lights, everybody.
And how about the fact that since our story takes place in a hospital, how many extras do you think we put to work?
Wow.
And every one of those is having to be COVID tested in order to be there. So it is a huge additional expense, which tells me, I mean, I haven't heard discussions, but it makes sense. It tells me that your margin of success is going to have to be greater moving forward to justify the expenditure. Because unless you're a big monetary success, they don't have that excess cash to spend on all of this COVID testing.
Yeah.
Okay. We got to stop the show for a minute. Dana Williams just said a big howdy from Nashville, Tennessee. One of my best pals in the world, a member of the country music group, 6-time Country Music Group of the Year, Grammy Award winning Diamond Rio.
Wow.
Is in the house.
Wow. What in the wow. That's awesome. Yeah, wow. That's
in the house. So big howdy right back to you, buddy.
Wow.
Welcome, Dana. Glad you're here.
Yeah. So, hey, my ooh, that's just wrong. Before we get to the end of the show, I was invited to speak at this event, and it ended up being like this Q&A thing. And so right in the middle of that, the host's internet completely went out and he disappeared.
Yeah, that was,
and I was
like that. How did that happen?
What? Well, anybody see where the host went? Anybody have his list of questions? Because I have no idea.
The host disappear.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, man. I don't have an ooh, that's just wrong. That was just funny. I remember thinking, well, I'll just keep talking. And hopefully I don't go too far off topic here.
I had so many people just go. He for a second he kind of like they said you just tap danced your way right out of it. You nailed it. So that was you saved the day, man. I'm telling you. So
Joan loves Diamond Rio. That's
Rio
awesome.
fan. We love it, Charles. Yeah, they are the best.
You would have to. You'd literally have to be living under a rock if you're in America and you haven't heard of Diamond Rio. Like, you would have to literally be under a rock. So, wow, what an honor to have Dana on here. So, but yeah, so no, that was fun actually.
Dana, by the way, was standing there next to me when I got married to Tammy. So,
oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
you know what? Beautiful. Didn't you show some pictures to us one night or something?
Yeah,
They played at your reception, right?
Yeah, that
And
was
then
that was.
you got up on the drums there, and
But I was about to say that that they had a bad drummer for a couple of gigs that could barely keep time. But yeah, that was the biggest shock. Was Dana said, we got another drummer that'll be sitting in it with us right now, and Brian, the drummer, another great friend, walked off and handed me the sticks and said, "Get up here." And
wow.
So it was pretty amazing. These guys, I'll tell you, it was, of course, let me tell you, Dana, we're at the wedding and we were married outside. And so Tammy had to make this long walk, to come out to, the guys who stand there waiting on her to come out. So the music starts and all the people are there, and Dana didn't know Tammy, and all these guys were worried, was I, getting married too quickly and all this kind of stuff. And Dana said, "Hey buddy, the bus is right over here." And he said, "I'm serious, man. We can walk out and get in the bus, and years from now we'll have a big laugh at it. Don't think because we're this, And then Tammy walks out of the dress and he said, "Hey man, forget everything I just said. You can't do better than that." I know you. I don't know. He said, "Quick, before she changes her mind, let's get this thing done." so, truer words were never spoken. And Dana and Deanna, his wife, and Tam and I are great friends.
So I want to tell you guys, and actually it's I don't know if it's news to you, Scott. It's not news to Ken, but under the "ooh, that's just phenomenal." And I'm trying to remember if the timeline is such, and I think my timeline is correct to make this announcement, but about 17 days ago, Ken and I had a chance to interview Catherine Reynolds. And Catherine Reynolds, 98 years old, and just full of spice, and just a fantastic interview. And basically, we just cut her some line and let her just take the slack and run with it. She did not need to be prompted. I mean, we certainly were playfully engaging her, but she did not need to be coaxed through that interview. She was very, very much with it. And it was a pleasure to listen to a 98-year-old woman recount her stories of things that were happening in her life when she was 17.
She was from the UK.
Yes. So
England.
she lives in Texas, but sounds like this. So
yeah.
And it was, and I kidded her about her Texas accent, which of course she does not have. But she told us about how British soldiers during the war were looking through the streets for bombs, and that they were down to 3 houses left, and they knew there was a bomb in or under one of the houses. And it turned out that it was a time bomb, and it was under her house. And that while the soldiers were looking, her dad was an Irishman. And these soldiers kept looking at Catherine because she's a young little hottie. And finally, her dad said, "Are you guys going to look for the bomb, or are you just going to chat me daughter up?" Which, that's right. And when she told the story, she told it with the accent.
It was so beautiful.
And it was just a hoot and a half. It's a marvelous interview. I encourage you to go back and look at it on Ken's page or on my page.
It's on YouTube as well.
It's on YouTube as well. What is it listed as, Ken?
Ken and Glenn interview, 98 years young.
Catherine Reynolds.
Catherine Reynolds.
And she asked that we call her Kate. And long story short, it was an extraordinary time to just have this woman tell her beautiful, detailed story, and to frankly feel engaged, really engaged, because you could see that she was playful early on in the interview. I told her, I said, "I don't know, but I'm thinking you may have been misled. Did your daughter inform you that Ken and I do this weekly sex education talk show?" And to watch her laugh about it, it was just beautiful. Get this, we were given an opportunity to spend that 1 hour and 20 minutes with her in what we did not know would be the last week of her life.
Oh my goodness. I did not know that.
and she passed away.
11 days later.
And
Oh, man.
Ken contacted me. I mean, it was already special. It was already special. So if you were not aware of this, please reach out to Colleen. It's Colleen's mother, and express your condolences. But man, what was already a special interview becomes extraordinary. And we are able to sit tall and feel good instead of bad.
Yeah.
Because we were given an opportunity to connect, and it's exactly what we did. And I can't say this enough to our audience, but this is what life gives us.
Yeah.
Life gives us moments to be present in. Please show up for those moments. Please show up for them. You've got an opportunity to connect. You've got an opportunity to leave your fingerprint and have someone else's fingerprint left upon your own heart.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, then you're doing the work that we were sent here to do. And that is what can allow you to accept the changes, the inevitable changes that occur in life, with a smile on your face going, I did the most with what I was given. And that's kind of a mission statement to me for life, is when you reach the end of your life, I would wish for all of you, no matter when that is, to be able to look back at the entirety of your life and say this, that is exactly the life I came here to live. And Catherine Reynolds, we love you. We send our thanks out to you for spending time with us, because Ken and I were better men for having spent that hour and 20
Dude,
minutes.
it was, I've never, and I told Glenn this after Catherine and her daughter, Colleen. Colleen is a dear friend of mine. They live down in Austin, right? Austin?
Yeah, near Austin.
Near Austin.
Yeah.
And
I believe they live in San Marcos, don't they?
yeah, but it's in between Austin and
San Antonio is
San
where
Antonio.
San Marcos
Yeah.
is. That's where, remember the dentist I was telling
Yes.
the story
Right.
that's
Yeah.
where it's from as well.
But I told Glenn afterwards, I said, I've never done, I mean, I've interviewed over 300 celebrities and entrepreneurs, and I have never done an interview where the entire time I had a lump in my throat. And this is why I had, and Glenn had, some insight that nobody else had. And that was the day before we did the interview, she was put on hospice care, and and her daughter reached out and said, do you think you guys could do it? And I said, let me see, the schedules are crazy right now. And she goes, well, maybe we can just, within the next couple of weeks. I said, yeah. And I looked at my calendar. I said, yeah, I could actually do it. And I gave her a date 2 weeks out. And I said, but let me talk to, something was telling me interview her now. So I reached out to Glenn and I said, bro, I need a favor. And he's like, right now, let's do it. Yes, let's do it this evening. And we did it that night. Right. And man, had I put it off for 2 weeks, we wouldn't have had that opportunity.
Right. And now it's there for the world to see online.
Forever. And right. Colleen is beyond grateful, because now for the rest of her life and for eternity, as long as the digital age is still around, her mother's story is it'll always be there. So, man, just take when opportunities arise in your life. And if I can just kind of go off of what Glenn just said, like, man, take them, go do good, man. Do good for the world. Do good for others. It'll come back to you. So I don't know, that it was phenomenal. So, yeah,
I think it's about showing up. We were given an opportunity to show up, and I'm certainly grateful we did, because when you don't, that winds up becoming a regret producing moment. And I think that we can be more intentional. All of us can, about making better decisions on the front side of what could go on to be a regrettable moment if you treat the moment poorly. Yeah. And it can work either way. It can be that you regret that you did do it, or it could be that you regret that you didn't do it. So I think the thing to assess, buds, is this a potentially regret producing moment for me? Plus or minus, no matter which side of the pancake I choose. But if it seems that it would be, then I'm going to either take action on doing it with great intention, or I'm going to intentionally not do it for the same reason, is because I don't want the regret associated with doing it or not doing it, whatever it is. So regret avoidance is a pretty healthy strategy. Guys, I need to go continue with the birthday party.
I love that. It's about time for us to say goodnight, guys.
Can I get one more thing? I've got it. I asked Glenn last night. We did a live stream, and I asked him on air. I said, "Hey, is there some sort of a like an actor's?" I said, "Some of these things that you do as an actor, you have these long scripts that you have to. I mean, you literally memorize them, right? There's no cue cards." He's like, "No." I'm like, So, dude, all right, tell us all the secret. What is the magic actor's thing that you do to remember? And Glenn, what was your?
I remember exactly what I said.
It was funny.
I said that when I look at the copy and realize that if I don't get these words out, they fire me.
You know, in my business, we call that motivation.
Right.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
You know what it is? It's life having been properly incentivized.
Right.
Gentlemen, have a great week. See you next week from Atlanta, GA.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That'll be next Sunday. And all of you, thanks for being a part of our show. We love you. We value you. And without you, our Sunday night family wouldn't be the same. So
thank you all. Thank you all for being here and all the shares and love and everything. So, Scott, you want to take us out?
Let's go to the house. Hey, thanks again for being with us on another Sunday night. We'll see you again next Sunday at the same time on the Ken and Glenn Show with a guy named Scott. See you, folks.
See you guys.